According to Jewish narrations, Dawood, peace be upon him, was the one who laid the foundations for the building of the temple, but he died before he could begin its construction. His son, Suleiman, peace be upon him, is the one who undertook the building of the temple atop Mount Moriah, which is known as the Plateau of the Sanctuary. This is the place where Masjid al-Aqsa and the Dome of the Rock are located.
Do you know the origin of the Temple of Sulaiman? Did he build it? Is that the thing?
He did, yeah, he did. So what's said is that Ibrahim alayhi salam built two temples, or two structures, two baits, houses of worship of Allah, right? So the one in Mecca, the Kaaba, was built first, and then there's another one similar to it in Jerusalem, in Quds, right? Actually, that's what we call it, Bayt al-Maqdis, right? It's also called a Bayt, right? Just like the Kaaba is called what? Baytullah, right? So there was a structure there, and what do they keep in there? They kept the Tabut, it's called, the Ark. They call it the Ark of the Covenant, right? The Tabut, it's mentioned in the Quran. Within it were relics from Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam and their families. So the staff of Musa was said to be inside. The prayer shawl of Harun was said to be inside. The actual tablets that Musa alayhi salam wrote on were said to be inside, right? The food of heaven, manna and salwa, were said to be inside. And what the Bani Israel did at the time, they were still, mu'minun back then, they carried this around with them wherever they went. Okay?
To battle too, right?
To battle too. And it's said that the Sakina was in it and that the angels carried it, right? So there's obviously different interpretations on what does that actually mean? What does it mean for the angels to carry it? But that that chest, ark, whatever, tabut, was put into a structure at where probably the Dome of the Rock is right now. Okay, so there used to be a Kaaba-like building there. Okay, it had an inner chamber and it had an outer chamber. The inner chamber is called the Holy of Holies. You ever heard of this term?
No.
It's the Jewish, it's their Kaaba, basically. Kodesh Kodeshim, which is the Arabic word Qudus. Okay? It comes from the same word. That's why you call it a Maqdis. Okay? Then outside it, there's another layer, and then outside it, there's a walled kind of thing. Okay? You know what's interesting about that? No one can go into that room, that inner chamber, except for the high priest once a year to do one thing. And only on this day, this big day, Yom Kabir, which is what? Yom Kippur, the same word, right? On that day only can the priest say the name of God. Once a year. Isn't that crazy?
Whoa, hold up. So he's not allowed to say the name of God any other...
None of them are. No Jew can say the name of God.
Which is what to them? Yeshua?
They don't actually know they don't even know how it's pronounced. Yeah, the Yahweh.
Yeah.
There's these 4 letters.
Yeah.
No one knows how it's pronounced.
Oh, so they're just guessing when they say it.
It's been lost.
Oh. So
right?
Every other...
Isn't it bugging out? As a Muslim, bro, you can say Allah.
Allah.
Anytime.
Every
Allahumma,
day.
Right? You don't even need wudu, you don't need anything. Say Ya Allah, They can't do that.
They can't. It's in their religion not to.
Yeah.
All year.
Cannot.
And then he just goes in
not
that
only
chamber?
all year. If you're a normal person, never. Just the one guy.
Just the one guy. So what do they say instead of God?
So they say words similar to God, but they change a letter.
Oh, like what?
So, for example, instead of saying Elohenu, which is Ilahuna, right? Elohenu, it sounds a little different, but you can tell it's related, right? Because Hebrew and Jewish are related. Hebrew and Arabic, sorry. Instead of saying Elohenu, they'll say Ilokenu. They'll change one letter. Or have you ever seen when they write, instead of writing G-O-D, they'll write G-D.
No, I've never seen that.
Seen that? Yeah, they do.
So he goes in that chamber. This is under Al-Aqsa Masjid?
This is probably where the Dome of the Rock is now.
That's not Masjid Al-Aqsa, right? Dome of the Rock is...
Yeah, you can consider the whole compound to be Aqsa.
Okay.
The masjid is called Masjid al-Qibli, the Qibla Masjid. But you can consider the whole structure is considered Aqsa for us. Yeah.
And we allow them to, well, I mean, at this point, but historically, we've allowed them to go into that inner chamber.
No. It's haram for them to go. In their own religion, you can't go. So you know, like what those people do now when like the police escort them inside and stuff? Have you seen that? Like when they're storming Aqsa complex?
Okay.
Like the Israeli police and stuff? Technically in their religion, that's haram. You can't step foot onto the compound.
Why?
Because they don't know where the holy sanctuary is, and they're not allowed to go in. Only one person's allowed to go in.
Only one.
Yeah.
But us on the Muslim side, have we, when we were controlling Jerusalem, did we freely allow them, this one person, this one guy, to go in there? And
No,
we didn't.
not that we didn't. It's complicated. That guy cannot be like ordained as that guy unless the building is there.
So, but he's still doing it.
No, he's not.
Oh, he's not doing it. You're
Hasn't
talking about
done
something
it.
historical.
He hasn't done it for 2,000 years.
Oh, I thought they were doing this now.
No, they can't do that. They can't do it because they need the building to do it.
Okay. Do you know what he goes in there and says? What's the word
No, I don't
of
know.
God?
I'm not sure.
No one knows.
Like it's all guesses, right?
Yeah.
Even the 4-letter word, like we say Yahweh. Like a lot of people think it's Yahweh. I'm not sure. Could be. Could not be. No idea.
Man, that time period, that's why the Prophet, peace be upon him, and I only say stuff like this when I have a sheikh across from me. But isn't there a hadith where the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that the children of Israel saw the ajaib, the miracles, the strange miracles even? Such a strange time period, like Sayyidah Maryam and Yahya and Sulaiman and Dawood.
Yeah. All sorts of strange stuff, man.
There is a great misconception amongst many Muslims who believe that when Sulaiman, peace be upon him, commanded his assembly to bring the throne of Sheba to him, that it was brought by a powerful jinn called an Ifrit. But the reality is that it was actually brought by a human. Let's look at the evidence for this. Ibn Abbas said, this was Asif, the scribe of Sulaiman. It was also narrated by Muhammad bin Ishaq from Yazid bin Ruman that he was Asif bin Barkiya, and he was a truthful believer who knew the greatest name of Allah. Qatada said, he was a believer among the humans, and his name was Asif.
Sulaiman alayhi salam, right? He has jinns in his court that are ready to do whatever he wants to do, right? So the whole account of like the Queen of Sheba, right? The Queen of Saba that's coming to visit, like he's like, or not coming to visit. He's ordered her to come, right? Come in as Muslims, come in submission or I'll conquer you. Sulaiman is a boss, right? He's straight up. Like he's the most powerful person on the planet. And he knows it, right? So he says, come in submission or I'm going to conquer you. So she's coming, she's on her way. There's an angel, a jinn in his court. Because he says, who can bring me her throne? I'm going to surprise her. Right? Who can bring me her throne? A jinn there says, I'll do it. I'll do it like, right away. You don't even have to blink. I got you. Right?
Or I think it's you won't get up from your throne.
No, sorry, you're right. Yeah. The other one, there's another guy, right? The jinn says, I'll do it. There's a person there, not a jinn. There's a person more powerful than the jinn. The person is not even phased that there's a jinn. And he has knowledge of the kitab, is what the Quran says. A person who had knowledge of the kitab. Of the book. I don't know what book, but like the book, presumably the Torah or some book, right? He says, I'll bring it even quicker than that. Before you can look back, it'll be there. So isn't that kind of crazy? There's a jinn, like you and I would bug out, there's like a jinn right here.
Right.
This guy's not even phased.
And I Ifritu min al-jinn, like one of the stronger ones.
Exactly. He's not even phased by that Ifrit. Doesn't care. I'll do it better than this jinn can do it.
I think right there, I've always been fascinated by this verse. I'm so happy that you mentioned it. Because what almost Allah's telling us indirectly, and please correct me, is that knowledge can even be more powerful than the physical strength. Even what you humans think you're lacking compared to the jinn. This guy with knowledge from the book was able to bring the throne in the blink of an eye rather than in the standing up and sitting down of a throne. Knowledge
is the only thing the Prophet ﷺ is commanded to seek more of. Right? وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. Allah increase me in knowledge. It's the only thing that he was commanded to ask for more of. You know that?
Yeah, no,
It's
I
the only
didn't know
thing.
that.
So yeah, knowledge is, but knowledge has to be acted on. Right? Imam al-Ghazali's whole mission is like, if you're not acting on your knowledge, it's a poison. Right? It's a poison against you. Because you're going to be asked on the Day of Judgment, hey, you had all this knowledge. What'd you do with it? Right? Just like all these billionaires are going to be asked, hey, you had all this money, and there's people starving right next to you. What'd you do with your money? Right? So I always tell people, don't ask for more of anything unless you're acting on it. Okay? People want to be rich. I say, hey, are you ready to do what that money requires you to do? I could ask for $1 billion. Doesn't mean I'm going to necessarily get closer to Allah. That $1 billion might be what gets me into the hellfire, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big responsibility.